Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, gals and guys. In this edition of My Media Helpers Entertainment Online, we'll take a peek at merry and bright films that are streaming through a jolly bandwidth near you. With each video, I will jump on a different streaming service to give you my best picks as to what flicks to check out this 2021 holiday season. I planned to get these out all before Christmas, but time was not on my side. We still have a week until New Year, so still fitting to watch some holiday films. There are so many movies on these streaming services, it's hard to determine what's worth watching. I want to recommend some of my personal favorites. The films I present to you aren't necessarily award winners by any stretch of that imagination. These are solid films, and they're certainly worth a watch during the festive season. As I mentioned in each video, some of these streaming services offer the same movies, so I won't be covering the same ones twice, and you may be able to get a review of the same movie on a different video, so make sure to check them all out. Plus, you'll help increase viewership and build the channel, and in tradition of giving, you should really do that. I mean, if you want, but do it anyways. For today's picks, we're going to explore my top 5 of what YouTube has to offer in no particular order. YouTube is like this vast wasteland of all bunches of stuff. It's just beyond crazy, the amount of material that's on there, but I tried to sift through it, at least find 5 I'm happy to recommend to you. Let's get her done on Dancer and Prancer and Vixen on YouTube. Jingle All the Way is a 1996 American Christmas family comedy film directed by Brian Levant. It stars Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad as two rival fathers, workaholic Howard Langston, played by Schwarzenegger, and postal worker Myron Larrabee, played by Sinbad, both desperately trying to purchase a Turbo Man action figure for their respective sons on a last-minute shopping spree on Christmas Eve. The film's title is borrowed from the lyrics of the popular Christmas song, Jingle Bells, inspired by real-life Christmas toy sellouts for such items as Cabbage Patch Kids. The film was written by Randy Cornfield. Producer Chris Columbus rewrote the script, adding elements of satire about the commercialization of Christmas, and the project was picked up by 20th Century Fox. Delays to Fox's reboot of Planet of the Apes allowed Schwarzenegger to come on board the film, while Columbus opted to cast Sinbad instead of Joe Pesci as Myron. Jingle All the Way was set and filmed in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul at a variety of locations, including the Mall of America. After 5 weeks of filming, production moved to California, where scenes such as the end parade were shot. The film's swift production meant merchandising was limited to a replica of the Turbo Man action figure used in the film. Upon release, Jingle All the Way grossed $129 million worldwide and received generally negative reviews from critics. In 2001, Fox was ordered to pay $19 million to Murray Hill Publishing for stealing the idea for the film. The verdict was overturned 3 years later. Jingle All the Way is the third and final collaboration between Sinbad and Phil Hartman after Coneheads and Houseguests, and the last film featuring Hartman to be released during his lifetime. In 2014, the film was followed by a sequel, Jingle All the Way 2, starring, yes, Larry the Cable Guy, whatever. The film's release coincided with the Tickle Me Elmo craze, in which high demand for the doll during the 1996 Christmas season led to store mobbing similar to that depicted for Turbo Man. People are weird. The world premiere was held on November 16th of 1996 at the Mall of America in Bloomington, where parts of the film were shot. A day of events was held to celebrate the film's release, and Schwarzenegger donated memorabilia from the film to the mall's Planet Hollywood. Opening on November 22nd, Jingle All the Way made $12.1 million in its first weekend, opening at number 4 behind Star Trek First Contact, Space Jam, and Ransom. It went on to gross 120, I only had coffee, I promise, $129 million worldwide, recouping its $75 million budget. The film was released in the United Kingdom on December 6th of 1996 and topped the country's box office that weekend. The critics were extremely unkind to this movie, but what the hell did they know? Jingle All the Way is now considered a holiday classic. It's a silly Christmas movie. It's brainless and entertaining. I recommend viewing this holiday season. It's stupid, but I still love it. The Nightmare Before Christmas is a 1993 American stop-motion animated musical dark fantasy holiday film directed by Henry Selick and produced and conceived by Tim Burton. It tells the story of Jack Skellington, the king of Halloween Town, who stumbles upon Christmas Town and becomes obsessed with celebrating the holiday. Danny Elfman wrote the songs and score and provided the singing voice of Jack. The principal voice cast also includes Chris Sarandon, Catherine O'Hara, William Hickey, Ken Page, Paul Rumens, Glenn Shaddix, and Ed Ivory. The Nightmare Before Christmas originated in a poem written by Burton in 1982 while he was working as an animator at Walt Disney Productions. With the success of Vincent in the same year, Burton began to consider developing The Nightmare Before Christmas as either a short film or 30-minute television special to no avail. Over the years, Burton's thoughts regularly returned to the project, and in 1990, he made a development deal with Walt Disney Studios. Production started in July of 1991 in San Francisco. Disney initially released the film through Touchstone Pictures because the studio believed the film would be too dark and scary for kids. The film met with both critical and financial success, earning praise for its animation, particularly the innovation of the stop-motion art form, characters, songs, and score. It has grossed $91.5 million worldwide since its initial release and garnered a cult following. It was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects, a first for an animated film. The film has since been reissued by Walt Disney Pictures and was re-released annually in Disney Digital 3D from 2006 until 2010. Selick and his team of animators began production in July of 1991 in San Francisco, California, with a crew of over 120 workers, utilizing 20 sound stages for filming. Joe Ranft was hired from Disney as a storyboard supervisor, while Eric Leighton was hired to supervise animation. At the peak of production, 20 individual stages were simultaneously being used for filming. In total, there were 109,440 frames taken for the film. Selick described the production design as akin to a pop-up book. In addition, Selick stated, "When we reach Halloween Town, it's entirely German expressionism. When Jack enters Christmas Town, it's an outrageous Dr. Seuss-esque set piece. Finally, when Jack is delivering presents in the real world, everything is plain, simple, and perfectly aligned." Vincent Price, Don Amici, and James Earl Jones were considered to provide the narration for the film's prologue. However, all proved difficult to cast, and the producers instead hired local voice artist Ed Ivory. Patrick Stewart provided the prologue narration for the film's soundtrack. In the direction of the film, Selick reflected, "It's as if though he," meaning Burton, "laid the egg, and I sat on it and hatched it. He wasn't involved in a hands-on way, but his hands were in it. It was my job to make it look like a Tim Burton film, which is not so different from my films." When asked about Burton's involvement, Selick claimed, "I don't want to take away from Tim, but he was not in San Francisco when he made it. He came up 5 times over 2 years and spent no more than 8 or 10 days in total on the set." Walt Disney Feature Animation contributed with some second layering traditional animation. Burton found production somewhat difficult because he was simultaneously filming Batman Returns and pre-production of Ed Wood. The filmmakers constructed 227 puppets to represent the characters in the movie, with Jack Skellington having around 400 heads, allowing the expression of every possible emotion. Sally's mouth movements were animated through the replacement method. During the animation process, only Sally's face mask was removed to preserve the order of her long red hair. Sally had 10 types of faces, each made with a series of 11 expressions and synchronized mouth movements. The stop-motion figurine of Jack was reused in James and the Giant Peach as Captain Jack. Makes sense? This is a great visual movie, great movie altogether. It's fun, it's classic, and I would recommend it this holiday season. Yeah, baby. The Waltons is an American historical drama television series about a family in rural Virginia during the Great Depression and World War II. It was created by Earl Hammer Jr. based on his 1961 book Spencer's Mountain and the 1963 film of the same name. The television movie The Homecoming: A Christmas Story was broadcast on December 19th of 1971. Based on its success, the CBS television network ordered one season of episodes based on the same characters, and that became the television series The Waltons. Beginning in September 1972, the series subsequently aired on CBS for 9 seasons. After the series was canceled in 1981, NBC aired 3 television film sequels in 1982, with 3 more in the 1990s on CBS. The Waltons was produced by Larimar Productions and distributed by Warner Brothers Domestic Television Distribution in syndication. The show's end sequence featured the family saying goodnight to one another before drifting off to sleep, and according to the BBC, which also aired the series, "Goodnight, John Boy" was one of the most common catchphrases of the 1970s. Earl Hamner's rural childhood growing up in the unincorporated community of Schuyler, Virginia, provided the basis for the setting and many of the storylines of the Waltons. His family and the community provided many life experiences, which aided in the characters, values, area, and human interest stories of his books, movies, and television series. Hamner provided the voiceover of the older John Boy, usually heard at the beginning and the end of each episode. John Boy Walton's fictional alma mater, Boatwright University, is patterned after Richmond College, which became part of the University of Richmond on Boatwright Drive near Westham Station in West End of Richmond, Virginia, about 70 miles east of Schuyler. The Homecoming: A Christmas Story from 1971 was not made as a pilot for the series, but it was so popular that it led CBS initially commissioning one season of episodes based on the same characters, and the result was The Waltons. Except for the Walton children and Grandma Esther Walton, the characters were all recast for the TV series. The musical score was by Oscar-winning composer Jerry Goldsmith and was later released on an album by Film Score Monthly paired with James Horner's score for the 1982 TV movie Rascals and Robbers, The Secret Adventures of Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn. Goldsmith also scored several episodes of the first season, but the producers believed his TV movie theme was too gentile and requested him to write a new theme for the series. The town of Waltons Mountain was built in the rear area of the main lot of Warner Brothers Studios, bordering the Los Angeles River, but the mountain itself was part of the Hollywood Hills range opposite Warner Studios in Burbank, California. The reverse side of which, and is slightly to the east, is Mount Lee and the Hollywood sign. The Waltons house facade was built in the back of the Warner Brothers lot. After the series concluded, the set was destroyed. For the reunion shows, a replica of Walton's house facade was built on the Here Comes the Bride set on the Columbia Ranch studio. Now part of Warner Brothers Studios, the Walton's house is still used as scenery at Warner Brothers. For example, it served as the Dragonfly Inn on the Gilmore Girls. This film fills me with a lot of childhood memories of watching the Waltons television series. I didn't realize that this film was the foundation of that show until now. It's a perfect little holiday movie with a well-written, feel-good story, and certainly worth to be called a classic in its own right. So check it out, of course, this holiday season. Get Santa is a 2014 British Christmas comedy film directed and written by Christopher Smith. The film stars Jim Broadbent, Raffi Spall, Warwick Davis, Stephen Graham, Jodie Whittaker, and Kit Connor. A few days before Christmas, Steve Anderson, a former getaway driver, is released on parole from prison, with his parole officer Ruth informing him that she will consider any occasion where he misses his meetings with her as a violation of his parole and send them right back to the slammer. Amid reports of reindeer wandering the streets of London, Steve is surprised when his son Tom calls him to claim that he has found Santa in his family shed. Steve responds to the call, but although Santa mentions a time Steve saw a shooting star as a child, he dismisses Santa as a madman and sends him out of the shed. Alone, Santa tries to retrieve his reindeer from police lockup, but is caught when he tries to catapult one of them out and is sent to prison. On review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 79% based on 29 reviews with an average rating of 6.23 out of 10. The website's critic consensus reads, with a bombastic performance from Jim Broadbent, Get Santa brilliantly captures the joys of the Christmas holiday. On Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score of 52 out of 100 based on 6 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. Yeah, but who knows who the hell those 6 critics are. This is another surprise for my eyes. This is a very fun and humorous film coming out of the United Kingdom. I was pleasantly entertained with a smile on my face the whole time of viewing it. I love Warwick Davis, so anything with him in it is fantastic. You'll love it this holiday season, and certainly worth the watch. And to finish out the five, Santa's Sleigh is a 2005 Canadian-American Christmas slasher comedy film. It stars professional wrestler Bill Goldberg as Santa Claus. The film was written and directed by David Steinman, a former assistant to Brett Ratner. Ratner served as producer. The film received mixed reviews from critics. On Christmas Eve in Alberta, Canada, the Mason family is bickering about their wealth and material possessions while eating Christmas dinner when Santa Claus comes down the chimney and kills them, all in various graphic displays of Christmas-themed violence, such as drowning the matriarch Virginia in eggnog, using the star atop a Christmas tree as a ninja star, and stabbing the patriarch's hands to the table with silverware and suffocating him by stuffing a leg of turkey in his mouth. Meanwhile, teenager Nicholas Yulson is living with his crazy grandfather, a crackpot inventor who has built a bunker in their basement to survive Christmas. When Nicholas asks Grandpa why he hates Christmas, he is shown the Book of Claus, which reveals the origins of Santa Claus. Apparently, Santa was the result of a virgin birth produced by Satan. Christmas was the day of slaying for Santa until AD 1005, when an angel defeated him in a curling match and sentenced him to deliver presents on Christmas for 1,000 years. This means that Santa is free to kill again in 2005. Randall Colburn from the AV Club gave the film a positive review, calling it simultaneously vulgar and wholesome, stupid and satirical, violent and lighthearted, which I can agree with that. Todd Martin of thehorrornews.net also liked the film, writing it is perfect, and there are times when it is a little too corny for its own good, but overall it's just fun, brainless movie that has a ton of violence in it, which I agree with that as well. Brett Gelman from Oh, the Horror wrote, admittedly, the film doesn't quite keep up the relentless pace the entire time, but it's mostly one hell of a sleigh ride, full of cheesy dialogue, colorful characters, and plenty of laughs. David Nusser from Real Film Reviews gave the film a mixed 2.5 out of 5 stars, commending the film's humor, pacing, and Goldberg's tongue-in-cheek performance, while also stating that the film ran out of steam in the third act. I have mixed emotions about this movie. On one hand, it's a pretty stupid movie. On the other hand, I found myself very entertained and chuckling in some parts. It's such an anti-Santa Claus film where he comes off as this crazy Yuletide killer. It's extremely over the top, but I think the reason I enjoyed it is the fact it's something different and a slant on the holiday tropes. I would definitely call this a very dark Christmas comedy slasher horror film. It's not for everyone. I do love traditional feel-good Christmas movies, but once in a while, a balls-to-the-wall film that turns things upside down is also welcome. And that is it for this video, gals and guys. I just wanted to say I hope you had a good Christmas, because I am finishing this up the day after Christmas. So I hope Santa was very kind to you, all right? Now, please be kind to me. And like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell below for updates. And I got 3 more of these to do before the new year. So I will be back and seeing you soon. And you're going to see me. So bye-bye until then. I appreciate you all. And, Sorry, a lot of coffee.